hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a convict and start killing. It's manifested. The gods work like appliances, dealing in my psyche.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? So today I want to have a much needed conversation with you guys about the fallout of Boruto episode 135, and in particular I wanted to talk to you guys about whether or not Urashiki is actually the worst villain in all the entirety of the Boruto series. And real quick before we get into the video, I want to say that over on the official Naruto Explained Teespring, I have a 25% off sale on the merchandise. All merchandise on the Teespring is 25% off. I've got some new designs up there and more continuations of Uchiha State of Mind, so check all those out, and if you like something, it'd be a great way to support the channel. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get back into the video. A lot of you guys wanted me to go ahead and label him that back when we got the whole Hidden Sand Village arc where Boruto's in the Sand Village, but I said, well, this next arc feels like it's going to be tied to it, so I'm just going to chill out and I'm going to wait till we see how the characters resolve. And now that we have that answer, I can definitively say I think he's the worst villain that we've gotten in the series, and it's so bad because he had so much potential to take the Boruto franchise to a different level. So with that being said, I'm going to explain to you guys how and why I feel this way. So when it comes to Urashiki, I totally understand what the writers for the arc were trying to do. This was an arc that was done by Masashi Kishimoto. This is Kishimoto's idea. This was his concept. This was his idea to use Urashiki. Urashiki is a character that he originally developed back in 2015. So I had high expectations for it. But one thing that I saw repeatedly that really began to get on my nerves as I was doing the episode reviews is Urashiki was constantly allowing his arrogance to put him in a bad situation. Now, that is a shonen trope. That is a huge shonen trope. I've said it repeatedly that, you know, fighting someone that you know is clearly weaker than you, toying around with them, playing the whole cat and mouse game. That's something that I'm used to after over 20 years of watching shonen anime and reading shonen manga. I'm used to that, but this also comes down to execution. I think Urashiki was a poorly executed character, and I'll explain to you guys why. I'm actually going to use some examples from one of my favorite series of all time. So Yu Yu Hakusho. When you look at the Dark Tournament arc, which a lot of fans look at the Yu Yu Hakusho series and say the Dark Tournament is the best arc in that whole manga. Well, when you look at that arc, right, you have two situations where you see two characters who are clearly stronger than the versions of the fighters that they're taking on. So the first example is Karasu versus Kurama. Now, in this fight, you see Karasu, he's clearly leagues above Kurama when they're fighting before Kurama transforms. And Karasu has Kurama on the verge of actually killing him, right? If at any moment Kurama was put in a position where Karasu was going 100% all out, he could have essentially ended this man's whole life right then and there. But his arrogance allowed him to drag out the fight. His arrogance allowed him to be put in a position where Kurama could mess around and kill him. And so I thought, okay, maybe they're gonna pay it off like this. And that's not what we got in the Boruto episode 135. Like, you saw Urashiki clearly, someone who's stronger than Boruto and Jiraiya, just saying like, yeah, I'm gonna drag out all this, I'm gonna torture everybody slowly. And yet you have Boruto and Naruto, they're trying to exchange hands with Urashiki, and you get this moment where Urashiki grabs Naruto by the hair, starts swinging him around, and he bitch smacks Naruto. He goes up to Jiraiya, just lands a solid punch on Jiraiya, but at no point did he hit them with any type of lethal force. And it's one of those times where you know they're not gonna kill the characters, but it's not believable that somebody this much stronger is not capitalizing on it. Like, that should have been a more brutal fight. If he's gonna torture everybody, he should have been stomping them into the ground. You should have seen more blood. You should have seen more damage done. And I feel like that's part of what's wasted with this character. I feel like the best way that they could have handled this is, if you want to buy time until Sasuke shows up, the best way you could have handled this was to take a page out of the Toguro versus, say, Yusuke fight, or the Toguro versus Genkai fight. So with the Genkai fight, it's very short, and yet at the same time, the anime, when they got that episode, they essentially dragged things out, and you had Toguro basically talking down to Genkai and dragging out the actual defeat of the Genkai. It's one of those times where they could have done something like this, where Boruto just goes through all these different jutsu he learns, and at no point is he able to do any type of damage to Urashiki, or Jiraiya is just struggling. You never saw anything like that. Like, even though Urashiki was in control of the fight, as a viewer, I never really felt that sense of desperation. I never really felt that I need to wait for Sasuke to return. It feels like they pulled a lot of punches with that. When you look at Boruto and Naruto and they use that father-son Rasengan, and you see all this buildup of over 20 episodes of Sasuke, I'm out of chakra, Sasuke, I'm out of chakra, and I'm going all the way back to episode 120. So that's actually what, 15 episodes? So 15 episodes of Sasuke being out of chakra, Sasuke recovers some chakra, oops, your chakra gets stolen. Like, after all this time, you get Sasuke versus Urashiki being less than a minute worth of actual action, and then you have Sasuke chipping in at the end of the arc in order to buy time. Like, I feel like for Urashiki, we should have learned more about his standing in the clan. We should have learned more about his motives. Why is he collecting chakra? What is his end goal? Is he doing something separate of the Urashiki clan where they're trying to harvest chakra? Why is he specifically only looking for the tailed beast chakra? Why is it that he has two different sets of Rinnegan? Like, we needed more information and they completely flatlined it. Like, Urashiki for me feels a lot like Rey from Star Wars. You want to like the character, and yet there's so much wrong with the character that you can't get fully invested in what's being presented to you. It's the same thing with Urashiki. It's like, where the fuck did your extra Rinnegan come from? When that first got debuted, you're like, where the fuck did this come from? When you look at the fact that this dude at one point is being carried off of a cliff and he's out of breath and all this other stuff, and he has an opportunity to grab Naruto and just take him into another dimension. Nobody can track him. Sasuke didn't have the Rinnegan. He doesn't do any of that stuff. Like, there's so many questions with the character Urashiki, and there's so much questionable writing that I think we have to call him the worst villain in the series, because when you have different characters, not all characters created equal. So a guy who robs a bank in Boruto can't be called the worst villain in Boruto because he doesn't have high expectations. With Urashiki, there are massive expectations because he's the last holdover from the versus Momoshiki arc, and you're dealing with Natsuki. For better or worse, every time that the Natsuki have appeared in the series, there's been some major threat. The major threat in this one is, oh, he's gonna take the chakra from child Naruto, a younger version of Naruto, who, because of his arrogance, with the help of Boruto, he's actually able to be defeated. But I want to know from you guys, do you think I'm being too harsh on Urashiki? Do you think that Urashiki is a character who should have been handled more so like the examples I used before, like with Karasu versus Kurama, where when he gets defeated, it makes sense, and yet at the same time, you see the defeat coming a mile away, but you feel the sheer sense of terror and dread because you think that the characters can die? Do you think Urashiki should have been better used to raise the stakes? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.